Yeah.
Tell me about it. That's what I'm saying. It's not like how it used to be.
I'll try and find another thing to say.
Don't make me. Because you got to cut out. It's not out. We just have that part bit down, please.
144. Just louder.
Yeah, it's incredible, and it's a really cool space as well. I've never been in Stone Hall before, but in terms of just like a room for recording it sounds incredible. And also, I mean, what was it, a 32 piece?
32, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a full symphonic orchestra. It's great. It sounds incredible.
Based on what you've heard today, like live, what are you expecting the final result to be compared to the mock-up?
I'm expecting especially the strings to sound so much better. Doing those fast runs. The piece I wrote was rapidly changing to suit the cartoon, and sometimes you may struggle a bit with sample libraries, but it doesn't beat live musicians.
Mm. Do you think you could see yourself sort of going for a session like that?
I would love to. It would be an absolute dream to have my music played by an orchestra.
So you're going to go back now and compose something?
I've looked at the rate card already.
Yeah, excellent.
I've written lots of pieces. I've just never kind of really thought about getting it like professionally recorded. It's sort of, I think because as well the way I compose, I have a full-time job. I'm not a full-time composer. I do it in my spare time essentially. A bit of a bedroom composer. So I've never kind of, I don't know, I guess some of it is just me thinking about like maybe I'm not kind of good enough to have my music performed in that way. So actually like seeing all the feedback that I had on my piece for Score Relief was kind of, I don't know, it's kind of bolstered me a bit. I'm like, okay, maybe I should actually pursue this a bit more. It's encouraged me a lot, yeah. It's kind of like imposter syndrome thing. It's like, I sometimes feel like, oh, am I actually good at this? I don't know.
And especially when you listen to some of the winners and some of the, you know.
I mean, I thought that, I entered this one very early. I think I submitted like about a week or two after it opened because I knew like I was going to get very busy with work coming up. So I was like, I want to get this out of the way because I'm just going to run out of time if I leave it too late. And then it meant for like the next sort of month or so, I just saw like just floods of these amazing tracks coming through. I was like, oh my God, I don't have a chance.
It's every composer or musician's dream to have their stuff performed live. And I think the NFO did an incredible job, and I'm so pleased with how it's turned out.
When I first heard Joseph's piece, I thought, whoa, this can be really difficult musically.
Yeah, I remember,
because it sounds very fast and very choppy from bit to bit. So that was quite interesting. I was like, hopefully it's not too difficult that it's like impractical, but musicians did a really good job. Yeah, I thought there's some really nice stuff in there, especially in the brass or the like comedy slides and things like that were quite fun.
Yeah,
so it's cool to see all that come together. So, and again, that's interesting because in samples, you have to go out your way to find really specific libraries for them kind of sounds. So yeah, it's just nice seeing it all come together really.
And how was the process of orchestration when you'd sort of finished and won the competition, then preparing? You had about a month, I think, or something to prepare it for the orchestra. How was that process?
Yeah, the process of orchestration was quite fun. It was just as fun as actually writing it. It's sort of a learning curve because you're writing for so many different players. And admittedly, I'm not a professional or an expert in those instruments, but again, getting second pair of eyes on it, getting conductor Melvin to look at it, just lots of different people to kind of just double check things with and get their input. But I absolutely loved orchestrating it, and it's a style of music that I don't tend to get to write very often, and it sort of harks back to Looney Tunes, Carl Stalling, and that style of music, which is arguably very hard to write. And when I first came to approaching writing for this, it was a bit overwhelming. Thinking I went back to listen to Carl Stalling's stuff and thought, wow, this is going to be really hard. And just sort of took it very slowly and working out where I wanted to go structurally with the piece.
Yeah. So how long did it take you roughly to do it, do you think, from the very first attempt to the final submission?
I think I always write my music just on a piano, like a sketch, the skeleton of the piece. And that probably took about a day to write. And then the real work comes in, then the mock-up of getting everything, finessing it and getting it sounding as best it could. And basically you're sort of orchestrating it out then up with sample libraries.
Yeah, sure. So what would that have been about?
That was a solid sort of 5 days, 6 days of late nights.
Right.
I know, I always think when we do orchestral sessions, it makes writing music seem easier. I don't know what you think. Because when you're writing, you're overthinking, you're like, is this going to be any good? Whereas you don't need to do that. You just need to trust that the musicians will make it good.
Yeah.
Like, you can have a melody with 3 notes in it, and
yeah,
the musicians will make it
definitely
sound how it's meant to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's one thing I always think after a session. I just want to write music. I want to not second guess myself. You know what I mean? Because it's like, the job of the composer is to make the music. It's not to decide whether it's good or not. You know what I mean? The listener decides whether they like it or not, I would say.
That's really
And I'd just say, trusted musicians, if you've got the budget to fund a live session, they're going to make your music better. And you don't need to overwrite your music, you know what I mean? You can just write it as it is and then trust the musicians will take it to the next kind of level, I think. So does any of that kind of ring true with you?
For sure. Especially like the solo violin at the end, just having heard like turn that small melody into like something really, really beautiful was like I didn't get that sound on the computer, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just more expressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the more sessions you do, the more you get used to working with instruments. You can always imagine what things will sound like when it's recorded for real. So that's why now when I'm doing composition, I'll like strip everything dead simple, because I know that if it gets recorded live, then I'll just save all the fiddly stuff for that really, and just work on like getting the core ideas right. So I think every composer should do as many sessions as they can for that reason, just in the sense that it forces you to compress. It's almost like doing a little musical masters. Like, you've got to do all this stuff in a short window of time and then build up to a session, and it forces you to learn, basically. And then you probably get to the other side and you feel, as I say, like more inspired to compose, because you realise that, it's not actually that hard to be a composer. I just write the music, make the musicians, and then make it sound good.
It frees you a bit from the process.
And you can just think more about like the intention behind the music rather than having to get bogged down in the proper details, I would say. Hopefully that kind of
that's really
fills in with what you were thinking.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking I want to go home and write now, basically, after watching that.
Everybody was saying that today, Jack. I think it is really incredibly inspiring to sit there and watch these sessions, because everyone was saying exactly that.
Yeah.
I want to go and write now.
Yeah, I think it just it just makes your appetite very I guess ravenous as a composer when you do an orchestral session.
Tell us, you were speaking earlier about when you found out that you won.
Yes.
Can you just share
Yes, the story of when I won, my partner and I, we recently had a baby. Well, he's over 1 now, and it was score relief winners were announced on, I think it was a Sunday evening, and she was putting him to bed upstairs, and I was sort of tidying up the kitchen, lights are low, and I'm doing some washing up, and I've got YouTube live streaming on my phone next to me, and the runners up come up, and I see the names, and I was kind of like, oh great, but also like, oh well, better luck next time. I didn't, I thought I gave it my best shot, and then Brian came on the screen and said, now to announce the winner, and
finally, it's my pleasure to announce the winner of Score Relief 2024. So without further ado, let's find out who the lucky composer is.
the music played first, not my name, and instantly, obviously, because I've heard that piece so many times, I just, jumped up in the air and probably screamed quite a few profanities and woke up my son upstairs. But it was all good. Yeah, everyone was kind of happy in our household.
Excellent. That's really good to hear.
It's a brilliant story.
Yeah, yeah, cool. And it's brilliant that you were able to bring your family as well.
Yeah.
To the,
Yeah,
up here to Manchester.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.